Welcome into OutKick the show. I'm your fearless leader, Clay Travis. I hope that all of you had phenomenal weekends. I am here early. We are taping at 11 a.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Central. What is that? 9 a.m. Mountain, 8 a.m. on Pacific time zone. So if things happen after that, that's why I'm not reacting to it. I've got to hit the road and head down to Atlanta for the Home Run Derby, which I'm super excited about, as well as the All-Star Game and SEC Media Days. All of that is taking place in Atlanta over the next several days. I'll be with you on Friday as well on OutKick the show when I get back to Nashville. I will be live Tuesday, Wednesday, still on Clay and Buck, as well as today, if you're radio show listeners. Thursday, I'll be traveling back, won't be on any shows that day. That is the week to come. It is a big week. Lots going on. SEC Media Days down in Atlanta. We will have a lot of good coverage for all of that as it happens through the OutKick network. We got a bunch of people that will be all over Atlanta getting you ready for that. We also have a big week in that, goodness, the Major League Baseball All-Star Game is back in Atlanta. I got a ton of things on this roster to run through and make sure I react to, but I want to start with the Major League Baseball game back in Atlanta because I think it's a major cultural signifier of how broken our national discourse had become and how much better it is now. Right now, we are scheduled to have Georgia Governor Brian Kemp on with me on the Clay and Buck show here in a little bit. But I've been texting with him, and I saw his reports that he put out earlier today, and I think this is really, really important. Major League Baseball blew it when they pulled the All-Star Game out of Atlanta, and they did it based on 100% lies, and there has been very little actual analysis and examination of the lies that were shared that led to that All-Star Game being pulled. What do I mean? For those of you who have forgotten, and team back in the studio, you guys can let me know if I get any of these facts wrong. Essentially, Major League Baseball bought into the lies being spread by Joe Biden and by Stacey Abrams that in the wake of the 2020 election, which was very messy in Georgia, that Georgia needed to strengthen its overall voting laws and make sure that the election was as secure as possible. And then everyone lost their minds on the Democrat side of the equation. Joe Biden traveled to Georgia, to my best recollection, and said that this wasn't even Jim Crow, that this was Jim Eagle, and that there was some sort of huge racist undertaking underway in the state of Georgia, which was predicated on trying to steal election victories. And then what happened? Major League Baseball decided, oh my goodness, just based on all of the media reporting and the allegations of Joe Biden and of Stacey Abrams and others in the Democrat Party, that they were going to pull the All-Star Game out of Atlanta. They ended up moving it, I believe, to Denver, if I can recall this correctly. I think this was in 2021. Again, go back through and make sure that I'm right about all these stats and all these dates. I remember this story pretty well. And they moved the All-Star Game out. They said that they did not agree with the law that was passed, and they weren't going to stand for voter suppression and racism. And then what happened? Voting actually went up in 2022, and then it went up again in 2024. So we ended up in a situation where it was a complete lie. The number of people that voted in Georgia in 2022 increased, and the number of people that voted in Georgia in 2024 increased again relative to midterms and to the past presidential election. So there's very little acknowledgement that all of those allegations were complete lies, that they were completely made up. Remember that Joe Biden even said, you're either on my side or you're on the side of Jefferson Davis. They actually went all the way back to the Civil War, and now they're returning to Atlanta because it was all a lie. So I am going to be at this All-Star game. I'm going to be at the Home Run Derby. I am an Atlanta Braves shareholder. You guys know that my boys are big Atlanta Braves fans. I love the Braves. I like all of the leadership right now in the state of Georgia on a statewide level, actual state, not federal level. I think we got to get some of those senators out. I like the fact that the state of Georgia flipped back to Trump in 2024 after the mess that was 2020. But my goodness, I look at all of this and I say, how is there no acknowledgement publicly of what a disaster all of this was? Remember, most of the sports media cheered it loudly. I told you that it didn't make sense, that it wasn't honest, that they were wrong. The data came out, and guess what it did? It supported every argument that I made, and much of the media now just pretends that never would have happened. Remember, this was going to be an all-star game. That the Braves were going to celebrate Hank Aaron. Instead, Hank Aaron has now passed, and he will not be there for this All-Star game. I know Hank Aaron passed, I can't remember the exact year, but I think it might have been 2021, the year that they were initially scheduled to have the All-Star game as well. So all of that to say, we were right. OutKick was one of the few outlets out there that would punch back against the awful decision by Rob Manfred to move the All-Star game. This was a cowardly, dishonest decision, and I'm glad that in some way it's being rectified. This built on, unfortunately, what I think was another awful decision led by, guess who, the NBA, when Adam Silver decided to pull the All-Star game out of Charlotte, North Carolina, because he said he didn't like the transgender bathroom bill that had been passed by the state legislature there. Guess what? They just went and played the All-Star game a couple of years ago in Utah, which has much more stringent anti-trans in sports-related laws. And guess what the result was? Adam Silver now said, well, we don't think it's in our best interest to get involved in local legislation. That's the argument I've been making for 8 years. And I believe they pulled the NBA All-Star game back in 2017. But this is all indefensible. And so we were right. We were right again. I look forward to being down in Atlanta and doing the Tomahawk Chop loudly for that game. And I encourage anybody watching this who's going to be in that stadium with the Braves, make sure that you make the nation hear you on the Tomahawk Chop. We talked about the fact that the vast majority of American sports fans would like the Washington Commanders to go back to the Washington Redskins, the Cleveland Guardians to go back to the Cleveland Indians. This, I am telling you, is an opportunity for Atlanta to really kind of let the nation know that all Braves fans were disgusted with the way the city of Atlanta and the state of Georgia were treated by Major League Baseball. And finally, I cannot wait to be down there. Big event going on in Atlanta with the All-Star Game and SEC Media Days. I mentioned SEC Media Days off the top. We'll be covering this well. Big debate going on right now is, I would say, the most important debate going on for those of us who are big fans of college football. What is the playoff going to look like? The commissioner of the Big 12, Brett Yormark, basically came out and said he favored a automatic 5 for the playoff and then 11 at large, and that being the 16 teams that play in the college football playoff. SEC Commissioner Greg Sankey, to my knowledge, just came out and said that basically he and Tony Petitti at the Big Ten talk, I think he said for the last 5 days they've been on the phone, and that the SEC doesn't feel any need to change anything beyond 12. But there is a debate about automatic qualifiers, about how many teams should be into the playoff, all of these different things. That is, I would say, the most integral question on the field. Off the field, certainly the biggest question is, how are players going to get paid in basketball, men's basketball, and in college football in particular? Is the $20.5 million that are going to be directly paid by the universities, is that actually going to maintain itself from a legal perspective? Or are we going to go back to the bags full of cash era when the 20.5 is just kind of a guideline and everybody is blowing through it, paying a lot more money than that? All of that is going to be discussed, and that has nothing to do with the actual on-the-field product, where we would presume, I think, by the way, do we have the graphic about the last time the SEC teams won a national championship. I thought this was kind of cool. This was from On3, I believe, and a lot of you out there were debating this. This is the last year that each team won a national title, and I went over to really, it is what? Arkansas, if I remember correctly, was like 1964. If you look at this graphic right now, Georgia, obviously most recent, Alabama, LSU, Auburn. I know I'm getting old because the Florida national titles don't feel that long ago to me in college football, but they were a substantial period of time ago now. And that Texas 2005 Vince Young title. And then you go to the other side, if I remember correctly, Oklahoma 2000, Tennessee 98. I can't see this full graphic on my screen because it's too small, but I think it then went to Arkansas 1964, Ole Miss 1960, Texas A&M 1939, and then none of the other schools have won a national championship, consensus national championship. I thought as we looked at this, on the right side of the graphic, which is the team that is the most likely to win a national title first? We know Georgia's good. We know Alabama's good. We know LSU's good. If Nico were back with Tennessee, I think I would vote Tennessee. I'm going to get people riled up here. I think on the right side of the bracket, that is, we are leaving aside all of the teams on the left, right? So Texas to Georgia on the left side of this bracket, not including them. Of the teams on the right side, I think that Tennessee is the most likely to win a championship over there. Not sold on the stature of the Oklahoma program right now. Tennessee has one of the top quarterbacks in the nation committed next year. I think they have a really good chance to get a top five-ish recruiting class again under Josh Heupel. He has stacked a lot of talent. Nico leaving has hurt some, but I think Tennessee has a very good chance to get the consensus number one wide receiver, consensus potentially number one quarterback, and consensus number one wide receiver. Again, I think Tennessee under Josh Heupel, of the teams on the right side, will be the next to win a title. While I'm talking about it, Texas A&M 1939, I want to say thanks. Marcel Reed, I think we have a still photograph of this. He is the presumptive starting quarterback at Texas A&M. I think Texas A&M, there's a lot of teams that are going to be good, by the way, and I think could win championships. This is Marcel Reed. My kids, I think this is public, but anyway, my two oldest kids go to Montgomery Bell Academy. It's an all-boys school in Nashville. My youngest kid went to, this is where Marcel Reed played high school football. He was a starting quarterback 9th grade to 12th grade in Nashville. Now the starting quarterback at Texas A&M. My oldest son, who is still at NBA, says Marcel Reed was a great dude and really well-liked at the school. I give him a lot of credit. He came back to his high school alma mater, brought a bunch of Aggie players with him, and they did a football camp for young kids. I think it was like 4th graders to 8th graders at MBA, elementary school age kids-ish. And he brought a bunch of Texas A&M players with him. My 4th grader was there. He's a rising 5th grader. He said it was awesome. He loved it. And so thank you to Marcel Reed for coming back to the Nashville community, back to your alma mater high school, and putting on this event. By the way, for those of you who are really big college football fans, Marcel Reed's dad was the head coach of TSU, Rod Reed, for many years. And back in the day, to tie it all together, we used to have Rod Reed on the local sports talk radio show I did, 3HL, with Brent Doherty and Blaine Bishop back in the day as well. So all of that underway, and I think that was a really cool event. I believe Marcel will be at SEC Media Days, but do think it's important, given all the negativity that sometimes is out there surrounding athletics, to point out that a lot of young athletes are doing great things for their community and to help give back to the younger generation. So thank you to Marcel Reed and the Aggie players who came up with him. I mentioned that because I do believe, I know A&M fans are like, never. I do believe that A&M will win a national championship at some point, either in baseball or football in the next 10 years. All right? So grab that. This can be an old takes exposed. We're sitting here 2025. I am calling for an Aggie title in either baseball or in football at some point in the next 10 years. Now watch, somehow they'll win basketball, and I won't get credit for that prediction. But the long wait from 1939 is eventually going to be over. I think they got a great baseball program. They'll either win the baseball title or they will win a national title in football. I really do believe it. Okay, 1 year anniversary. And by the way, I'm going to be on, well, it won't matter because you'll see me on Harris Faulkner beforehand. I'm going to be on with Harris Faulkner on Fox News at 11:45 a.m. Eastern, 10:45 Central. But this thing will, I don't think, have aired at that point in time. So I was going to say you'll see me in a couple minutes on there, but that's not the truth. Look, it is yesterday was the 1 year anniversary of Trump nearly being killed in Butler, Pennsylvania. And I just cannot impress upon you how much I believe that July 13th, 2024 is going to echo and reverberate throughout American history long after anyone watching this right now is here. I believe the bravery, the courage, the tenacity, the fearlessness that Donald Trump showed on July 13th, 2024, when a bullet clipped his ear, and the only reason he is alive is because he turned his head at the last possible instant to look behind him at a graphic that Senator Ron Johnson of Wisconsin had provided for border insecurity under Joe Biden. I think that's the only reason that Trump is still alive today. But the way that he reacted, bullet clipped his ear, he's bleeding, he gets up, he says, fight, fight, fight. I believe those iconic photos, everything surrounding Butler, it is going to be 50 years from now, 100 years from now, 150 years from now, generations that we don't know, generations of kids to come are going to be studying that. And the passions of the moment are going to fade politically. And oftentimes what is left behind is that indelible image of the greatest example of presidential bravery probably in the history of the United States, certainly in the history of, I believe, the 20th or the 21st century. To react that way at that moment, I believe, was when President Trump won the election in 2024. I don't think there was any way Joe Biden was going to beat him. I think he won young men. I think he won sports fans. And that is the book that I am writing, literally spent the weekend editing, called Balls, that's going to be out in November, about how Trump, young men, and sports fans saved America. I think that is when that relationship became inextricably intertwined between young men, male voters in general, and sports fans and Trump. And I thought it was somewhat symbolic that 1 year after that day, do we have any footage, by the way, from Butler, Pennsylvania, or anything that we want to play here? We do. Here is that moment live on Fox News. Let's see what that looks like.
Thing that said, take a look at what happened.
Moving his hair. Hold. When you're ready. On you.
Ready?
Move.
Up.
Move. Go.
Up. Hawkeye's here.
Hawkeye's here. Move it to the spare.
Spare, get ready. Spare, get ready.
We ready?
Down. Down.
Are we good? Shooters down. Are we good to move?
Down. We're good to move.
Clear.
We're
Let's
clear.
move.
We're clear.
Let's move.
We're clear.
Come on.
Let me get my shoes. Let me get my shoes.
Got you, sir. I got you, sir.
Let me get my shoes, sir.
Hold that in your head. It's bloody.
So we gotta move to the bus. Move to the bus. Let me get my shoes.
Okay. My shoes down. My shoes.
Watch out.
Wait.
I get chill bumps watching that, even a year later. I would run through a wall for that man. We all wonder what it would be like when you are faced with death. Some of you have experienced it. Some of you know how you react in that moment. Most of us do not. Every man and most women who watch that, it moves them emotionally. And every time I watch that video, I can't believe that it is real. That is one of the baddest ass moments in the history of the United States. If you tried to turn that into a movie, if you tried to make that the scene in a movie, most people wouldn't believe it was possible. And again, I understand that Trump provokes massive amounts of emotion, but in the years to come, long after Trump is gone, maybe long after I'm gone, long after anyone watching or listening to this show is gone, I believe that moment is going to continue to grow in popularity. And it is going to be seen as the gold standard for bravery from leadership in America. And the passions of the moment are going to fade, and you are left behind with those indelible images. And I'm telling you that Trump in Butler is going to become iconic in a way that it won't matter, because people are going to rip me if they disagree with me right now, and none of us will be alive to see whether or not I'm true, whether or not it's true. I would even call for it right now. I think that Butler, Pennsylvania, that location, should become a national historic park dedicated to bravery, and I think there should be a huge edifice built of Trump, huge statue, and it should be a place that people go and visit. I really do. In fact, I'll probably say that on my radio show today. And again, people are going to get fired up because it's Trump, but I'm talking about looking decades, 50 years, generations into the future, 100 years into the future. That is an incredibly important moment in American history, and we're all incredibly fortunate that that bullet just clipped Trump's ear and that he's alive today, because otherwise you would have had an assassination live on television. No one would have ever believed that that guy was a lone gunman, lone wolf, that he was acting by himself. You would have hundreds of years. I mean, honestly, it would be the JFK situation on steroids. 60 years later, people still argue about who killed JFK. They would have been arguing for the next 100+ years who actually killed Trump, because a lot of people wouldn't have believed it was that guy. All right, several different things. Let's run through. Let me hit as many of these as I possibly can. Jake Paul. We had a boxing match. Jake Paul had a press conference afterwards. A loser in the sports media was upset because there were good-looking ring girls in the ring, and he was angry about that. One of the guys says, "What do you want, ring boys?" And Jake Paul basically just says at the end, "Dude, just ask that question of Kamala." Watch this.
Okay, I have one last question, and it has to do with the projection of women in boxing, and like you guys have invested in women's boxing. And I've talked to a couple of people around during this week, and the issue or the theme about the ring girls in an all-female fighting card, and the
ring boys?
sexualization of women.
You want ring boys?
Well, a couple of people have said that why don't have boys or none of any of them at all. I just wanna bring to the attention the conversation of it.
Next
Thank
question,
you.
please.
Just another question. Kevin Garcia, the Puerto Rican KKG.
If
Jay,
anybody wants to submit an application to be a ring boy to MVP, send it to that young man.
Send it to Kamala Harris.
I love Jake Paul. He's been brilliant in the way that he has built a career coming out of YouTube, expanding into boxing, being involved in so many different businesses. I love that he just won't stand for this BS. But unfortunately, this is emblematic of what we have had to deal with here at OutKick throughout most of my career. The sports media members are insanely left-wing. Do you think boxing fans are upset because there are hot girls in the ring? What percentage of guys that are sitting down and girls that are sitting down to watch a boxing match are actually offended by that? 1%, 2%, 0%? Yet that is the sports media angle that they would choose to follow there. And again, I would tie that in with the All-Star game that I started off, which is this is how patently absurd all of this is. that you have far left-wing sports media cheering along awful far left-wing decisions that in many cases don't reflect in any way what the larger consensus actually is for these movies. For these sporting events. Speaking of movies, Superman bombed at the box office relative to past expectations. Let me hit you with these data points because you're probably not going to see them anywhere else. $117 million. That was how much the last Superman movie made. This one, based on the headlines that I have seen, made around 123 million. That sounds like more. It's actually much less because back when the last Superman movie was made, inflation was a fraction of what it has become by now, thanks Joe Biden. So fewer people bought tickets and went to this Superman despite all of the attention, all of the marketing, all of the expense that went to the last one. Way less people went on a dollar average, just straight up dollars, not even adjusting for inflation, 166 million for Batman versus Superman, which everybody claims stunk, compared to 122-ish million for this Superman. However, here is what I will say. I ripped James Gunn, the director, for saying this was political, this was an immigrant-focused movie. I think that was lunacy. I think that was insanely dumb. When this clip gets shared, I am going to ask you guys who actually went and saw it, rank it on the scale of 1 to 10 on woke. Was the movie actually reflective of what the director said publicly or not? My argument has been, I want everything to be like Top Gun Maverick. I want everything to be apolitical that everyone can enjoy. I don't want woke Snow White. I will defer to you guys. I haven't gone and see it, but I'll let your comments in the mentions and in the YouTube mentions, I'll let you guys be the arbiters there as it pertains to that issue. All right, Mountain Lion. We got a Mountain Lion report. This is absolutely incredible. This is from Rochester, New York. A guy was interviewed, man on the street, about an alleged mountain lion. This was his take. This is amazing. If you want a great laugh, watch.
I heard the roar. I felt that roar. I knew to keep it pushing. I knew that.
Curtis Jones says he was walking near Robber Street late Wednesday when he saw people running from what appeared to be a large wild cat.
After I see the people run, I just see something big just walking, just right over here, right by the bush. It went right over here. I swear, I promise you, it went right over there. And it said, roar, and I just kept walking. I seen me see it. So in my head, I'm like, nah, I gotta go, man, I'm out.
Rochester police say officers became aware of a video on social media that appears to show a wildcat, which some people claim is a mountain lion. RPD says it received numerous calls of reported sightings, including one near North Clinton Avenue and Robber Street just after midnight.
About like this big. Word. It was just walking, slithering, like it was, I don't know, man.
A shelter in place was ordered and then lifted when RPD was unable to verify the presence of a wild animal. Police say no reports have been substantiated. Jones tells me he remains on edge.
You gotta keep this bat right here, man. I'm gonna keep this bat right here, man, just in case. I'm gonna protect this. I ain't gonna let nothing happen to us, nothing, okay? They ain't find it last night. It's still out here. It could be out here in one of these bushes or something. You know, them mountain lions, they be, wow, they be crawling and, you know, they serious.
The Monroe County Sheriff's Office assisted the investigation by using an aerial drone. The Seneca Park Zoo told 13 Wham all of its animals are accounted for.
I don't play with lions. I don't play with tigers, bears, nothing with the wild. I don't play with those. I promise you. I don't even do roller coasters. I'm good.
Put that guy on Love Island. That is absolutely incredible. I love everything about that video. Local news wins again. That was a Chicago local news report, I think, about a Rochester-related incident. I don't know how all that's put together. I do know that guy is absolutely amazing. Couple of other things. Princess Kate. Princess Kate was at Wimbledon. And look at the reaction she gets. She's recently beaten cancer. I was at Wimbledon several years ago with my wife. We got to watch center court. It was an incredible experience. I asked my wife what the reaction would be if Meghan Markle walked in like this. Again, I watch The Crown. I like the royal family. My wife loves the royal family, hates Meghan Markle. I did think congratulations to the Wimbledon winners. I think Wimbledon is one of the great, iconic, unbelievably enjoyable sporting events, and I thought this was cool, the way that the crowd reacts as Kate, soon to be queen, I guess, right? Will she be a queen? She'll be a king and a queen, right? Yeah. This is, or will she still be a princess? I don't know exactly how it works. I know William will eventually be king. This is what it looked like when Kate came in and sat down. Thought that was awesome. President Trump, by the way, unprecedented second state visit to England going to happen with King Charles in September. That was announced over the weekend. 1 year ago, the shooting in Butler, Pennsylvania. 1 year to the minute almost. Where was President Trump? He was in New Jersey. FIFA Club World Cup championship game. Chelsea wins, and Trump is on the stage presenting them with the trophy. I can't believe that this was real. This is going to be memed like crazy. First of all, here is which clips do we want to show here? Here are multiple clips. Here is Trump on the stage giving the championship trophy as the pictures are being taken. Just enjoy this. 1 year after he almost had his head blown off on live television, this is what it looked like. I sent this to my son, my 17-year-old, and he's just a still photograph of Trump with Chelsea in the championship photo. And he said, that's got to be AI, right? Right, Dad? That has to be AI. I said, no, this is actually real. That was Trump on the stage with Chelsea. Couple of other clips I want to hit, and then I've got to run and go to Fox News. Positive that is not getting very much attention, but seems pretty significant. We ran a surplus. The United States government brought in more money than we spent for the first time in years in June of just this past month, June of 2025, thanks to the tariffs that Trump put in place. I believe we have a graphic for this. Not getting that much attention. There is the CNBC graphic. We ran a surplus based on tariffs in June. I saw it shared. That's the first surplus in 20 years, is what I saw. And again, there can be calendar adjustments and everything else. Month to month matters. But this is a sign that is pretty remarkable. Finally, I believe I have hit everything else. The Epstein fallout continued over the weekend. Trump shared a clip. He had Pam Bondi in the box with him at the FIFA World Cup Team Championship. I might have misspoke on what exactly that thing was called, but the one that Chelsea won in New Jersey. And Trump is saying, hey, people need to move on. The drama has continued to build. We will be discussing that, I imagine, in earnest on Clay and Buck here in about 30 minutes. I will be on with Fox News in about 8 minutes, so I'm going to take leave from all of you. But one other thing, I love the questions that you guys are sending. They are grabbing questions from the YouTube comments. Let me grab this one. I'll do two quickly. Hoops311 says, in all fairness, if you ask Joe Biden why he selected Ketanji Brown Jackson for the Supreme Court, he would reply, who? I think that's probably true. Big news that came out on Sunday about the auto pen and the fact that they have no idea at all, by and large, it doesn't appear Biden didn't, what in the world he was signing and who was getting pardons. It's crazy. Also, from Dave Reel, Area 51, I got to say this about Jasmine Crockett. We can't be so flipped to cheerlead for her to get in. It'll be an easy dunk. She may be a jello brain, but the party machine her might not be. Always play like you're behind. Go out, get every vote all day, every day. Yeah. I want Jasmine Crockett to run for the Senate in Texas. She's the best possible Democrat representative. I want her to get out. I think Texans would love to hear her arguments. She should be their nominee. She is the favorite right now. I hope she doesn't turn tail. I hope she doesn't run and hide. I hope she has the bravery to step forward and put her name in as the next representative for the Democrat Party statewide office in Texas. Run, Jasmine, run. In the comments, I love you. Click like and subscribe. Go drop the questions in there. I'll be back on Friday. We'll do a big dive on your questions that the staff is going to pick out. Love you guys. I'll be down in Atlanta Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So if you're going to be in the Atlanta area, you see me, come up and say hi. We'll have a lot of OutKick people there. DBAP unless you need to SBAP. This has been OutKick, the show.